From The National, this is Trending Middle East. I'm Yasmin Altaji. It's Tuesday, September 9th. Here are today's headlines. At least 6 people have been killed in a shooting in an illegal settlement in the Israeli-occupied West Bank. The shooting took place on Monday morning in Ramot alone. It happened at a major junction at the northern entrance to Jerusalem, on a road that leads to settlements in the occupied East Jerusalem. Israeli media identified the dead as 5 men aged between 25 and 79 and a 60-year-old woman. An Israeli soldier and a civilian who were at the scene shot and killed the attackers, Israeli police said. They added that 2 gunmen were also killed and that large police forces were at the scene. The National's Thomas Helm reports from Jerusalem.
The attack is a reminder that even though the Israeli military has a massive occupying presence in the West Bank, that attacks, even very deadly ones like this one, are still possible. Jerusalem is particularly full of police and security forces because it's such a symbolic place. And the scene was very quickly swarmed with emergency services and police, and the 2 attackers were very quickly killed. But the fact that they were able to wreak so much havoc is a very horrible reminder of quite how tense the situation is.
Far-right National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir called on Israelis to arm themselves following the attack. It's part of a campaign he spearheaded after the October 7 attacks in 2023 to relax the laws around who can carry weapons. The UAE's Ministry of Foreign Affairs condemned the, quote, terrorist acts, unquote. French President Emmanuel Macron condemned the attack in the settlement. Macron is leading efforts for more Western countries to recognize a Palestinian state at the United Nations General Assembly this month.
The West Bank has been under severe economic and military pressure by Israel since the beginning of the war, including beforehand, but restrictions became significantly worse after the Gaza war began. And this all comes in the context of more and more Western leaders who are close allies with Israel saying that they are about to recognize a Palestinian state later in the month. Israeli ministers at the scene and commenting more broadly from Israel and abroad, in the case of Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar, who was in Hungary at the time, drew a direct line between the attack today and the fact that the international community is about to recognize a Palestinian state, which they say would embolden terror and reward terror.
The UAE says the Abraham Accords have been overturned. Hamas and Israeli extremists are to blame for that. That's based on words from a senior Emirati official on Monday.
We always knew that there was an inherent risk that extremists would seek to overturn the vision of the Abraham Accords.
That's Lana Nuseibeh, the UAE's Assistant Minister for Political Affairs and envoy of the Minister of Foreign Affairs. She was speaking at the Healy Forum in Abu Dhabi on Monday.
That is what happened when Hamas's terror attack on Israel on October 7th and Israel's horrific war in Gaza exploded the risk of radicalization and instability in the region. For all of our sakes, we need to build something better and more durable out of the ashes.
The UAE signed the Abraham Accords in 2020, which established relations with Israel. Bahrain and Morocco followed suit. The National's Fatima Mahmoud reports from the forum.
UAE Assistant Minister for Political Affairs and envoy of the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Lana Nuseibeh, delivered a strong political message to Israel from the Healy Forum in Abu Dhabi. She was a keynote speaker at the 2-day conference and spoke about how Israel's annexation of the West Bank was a red line for the UAE as it undermines the vision and the essence of the Abraham Accords. Her statement is merely a reiteration of the UAE's stance against Israel's plans to undermine a Palestinian state, including approving construction of E1, an illegal settlement with thousands of homes near Jerusalem.
Nuseibeh said last week that the Israeli annexation of the occupied West Bank would constitute a red line for the UAE and undermine the vision and spirit of the Abraham Accords. It was the strongest statement yet from the UAE. It came after far-right Israeli Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich presented a plan to annex the majority of the West Bank.
The Israel war on Gaza and the Israel-Palestine conflict were at the forefront of the forum this year, alongside other unresolved regional and global tensions.
Oil prices were up at the start of this week after what's seen as a modest increase in production. Prices climbed by 2% on Monday. Just the day before, OPEC agreed to increase its oil production again in October, as the alliance of oil producers led by Saudi Arabia and Russia seeks to regain market share. This ahead of an energy summit in Milan where OPEC's latest move is just one item on the agenda.
Energy security in Europe is still very much top of the agenda.
The National's Manus Cranny reports.
Europe still continues to import significant amounts of Russian gas. Given the current geopolitical environment, it's going to be an interesting debate in terms of how do you secure your future. The Americans will be here in size and force from the White House. The Council for Energy Dominance will join me, along with the Energy Secretary, Mr. Wright, will be in time. So listening to what the Americans have got to say in terms of that energy reliability, dependability, and deliverability is going to be critically important. This all comes at a time when Mohammed bin Salman, His Royal Highness, travels to Washington later in the autumn. Is this about Saudi Arabia defending their market share, or is it more to do with perhaps keeping the policy of appeasement, if one can call it that, of Donald Trump? He wants lower oil prices, he wants to drill, baby, drill, and perhaps laying a roadmap for a significant and successful trip by the leader of Saudi Arabia.
That's all for this morning's headlines. You can get these stories and follow our live coverage at thenationalnews.com. Yasmin Altaji, The National.